Members of the House, this summer, when I was attending a bunch of high school graduation parties for constituents of mine, I met a really sharp kid, had a 4.0 from our Fairfax County Public Schools. I'll remind you, we had at that time a 94 to 100 is an A. It's a very high standard. Competition in Fairfax County schools, very difficult. Guy had a 4.0, which means he never had a B. He had excellent SAT scores. He had very good community involvement, and he did not get into UVA and William & Mary. I am sure that you hear that story, and my story I'm telling you is something you hear every day. And what you got to tell him is the sad truth is that every out-of-state student, I'm just going to pick on UVA because I happen to go there. This is not meant to be anything bad about UVA. Let's just use them as an example. They make $20,000 more for every out-of-state student than they make in-state student. So when I filed my bill to change it from their current ratio down to 80-20, they of course came and told me that this is going to cost them $30 million over the next number of years. And so you have to tell your constituent, well, that's the problem. It would take hundreds of millions of dollars to solve this problem in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But you know, one of the things I like to do as a legislator is I like to think of ways to solve problems. You know, sometimes the way you do it is not just write a check to solve a problem. Sometimes there's other ideas. And I was talking to a gentleman from Stanton. It's Stanton, right? Okay. Who gave me this really great idea. I'm going to take credit for it, but attribute it to Mr. Saxman because it's his idea. He told me, he said, Dave, did you know that approximately 20% of all college students do not graduate in 4 years? What that means is, and I ran the numbers, that means there are 500 kids, I shouldn't call them kids, students, per class at UVA, just for an example, who don't graduate on time. You know what that means? Every student who doesn't graduate on time takes a spot from a high school senior, took the spot from that kid with a 4.0 who worked his you-know-what off for 4 years and probably even longer. I don't think that's fair. One thing we thought about doing, I started running the numbers. If you said that every in-state student has a guaranteed in-state tuition for 4 years, that's our promise to you. You paid taxes in Virginia, we will promise you that you will get the reduced tuition for 4 years. But if you have to go 5, we're not going to kick you out, but we're going to make you pay the out-of-state rate. What would that do? Two things. As Mr. Saxman explained to me, the 4-year graduation rate at private schools is a lot higher than public schools. Why is that? It's because when my dad helped me go to University of Richmond for law school, you can guarantee he wasn't paying for a 4th year. Law school's 3 years. He said, you're out in 3, you're paying yourself. Guess what? I was out in 3. The second thing is that so in other words, it would take a lot of this 20%, the 500 students at UVA, and it would force them to work harder and get out in 4 years. And for those it doesn't, they would have to pay. Well, here's the solution that I'm starting to develop in my head and why I wanted to kind of throw it out here to you today, because we are going to be talking about an education committee. If you created a program like this, you could, let's just say no one else graduates on time. You would raise $10 million a year. $10 million a year could create a heck of a lot of spaces for in-state students at University of Virginia. The same phenomenon would happen to a lot of your other schools that have a very high out-of-state rate, William & Mary, Tech, James Madison. This money could be used to create more slots, which I'm guessing, like me, is what your constituents run, right? You need access to your schools. Second thing it would do is for all the kids who don't want to pay, who accelerate, it now opens up to 500 slots of out-of-state, for in-state kids. So I'm putting that out here, and I kind of did it on the floor today because I wanted to make sure that the people who are concerned about this, especially representatives of our higher education institutions, hear about it and start thinking about it. I think Saxman had a very, very good idea, and it's something we should look at. And I hope that everybody who's in this building, in the General Assembly, who's in this kind of trade area starts thinking about it, and maybe it's something we can pursue and get more of our kids into Virginia colleges and universities.